Okay, so let's talk about begin when the data driven algorithms are flawless. Okay, that's how AI came into being, right? Hey, everything has to be data driven decision making. That was the buzzword 20 years ago. So, data driven decision making, humans are flawed, computers or machines are infallible, meaning no flaws, okay, and no faults whatsoever. Data driven decisions have no bias, okay. So, an algorithmic flaw is considered a systemic error that occurs in the ML model due to incorrect assumptions and procedures. So, flaws skew the result of an algorithm in favor of or against an idea, creating biased outcomes. Okay, so that's what a algorithmic flaw is about. So, the fact that data-driven algorithms are flawless is a misconception. Okay. So, types of algorithmic flaws, algorithm design or ML modeling bias, they come from two different sources. One is the algorithm design or the ML modeling, and the second one is the data bias. So, both, not just data, it's also how the ML algorithm was designed. So, implicit bias, human designers' own ways of thinking enters ML design or modeling. So, the modeling is done by us, right? And so, our way of thinking definitely impacts how the model is designed. Fairness in AI, ML models use historical data sets that frequently had insufficient representation of some. In the past, like whenever you take data, if the people are not willing to share the data, then you only take from people who are willing to share, right? But then that self-selects people who are included in the data set. Correct? Because there are particular type of people who are okay to give information. Obviously, that is self-selection, and therefore the data set is already missing a lot of the other subgroup. Sources of sampling bias, availability of individuals for data collection, and predisposition of data collector. The data collector may be from region, you also let's maybe 50 kilometer radius from where I am. That's it. I'm going 500, away or, anything like that. So how much data is collected? Are you collecting from every type, every region, or if, whatever socio-economic status is also important, so on and so forth. Example, National Institutes of Standards and Technology. Now, this is a real example, okay? It's NIST, commonly called as NIST. And facial recognition algorithms display a higher false positive rate among Asian and Black individuals, while Caucasians as a white race, okay? Caucasians have the lowest false positive rate. Now, this is an actual NIST of US government, okay? And they have face recognition software where the face recognition has false positive rate for Asian and Black individuals as compared to Caucasians. Why? Because the sample size that it was collected on was mostly Caucasian. Okay, and it was done for over so many years where whites were predominant in the country and so on and so forth. So, however, a notable exception was for some algorithms developed in Asian countries, there was no such dramatic difference in false positives, obviously, because the sample size was Asian, right? Okay, so they might have false positives for the Caucasians, but for Haitians, they were right on that. Okay, they were. So it depends. The sample size, where it comes from, is very relevant. Is what this study is trying to tell you. And this is a real life tape, okay? And something that is highly regarded. Like National Institute fix all the different, rules and regulations for the whole industry. Stereotypes are acknowledged. It's literally the body, the government body for that. Okay, so even they can have a mess up, is what I'm trying to say. Okay? So fairness in AI, that's the way job market, okay? So 55% of human resource managers in the US is predicted algorithms in a predictive algorithms when you hire. And I hate at this fair is the question. Me, no bias by gender, race, etc. Factors that do not matter when performing up the job. How does it matter if you are doing a job at, say, coding or something? How does it matter what gender you are, what race you are? Correct. So, and it's asked high. Now, this is again a near life example. Amazon's hiring algorithm discriminating against female candidates, and you will see the reference right there. Yes? Investigation revealed that the reason was because the algorithm was based on the number of resumes submitted over the past 10 years, as it's most of the applicants were men. It was trained to favor men over women. Hiring algorithm used a history of failure to hire as a factor to make a decision. So, we couldn't hire any females. Why we couldn't hire any females? Any females actually submitted their applications or submitted their resumes. Okay? So, this is a actual study that was done when Amazon's algorithm failed. Fairness in jobs market less. AI and virtual reality technologies are becoming mainstream for assessing job performance. This is true. Like Walmart, for example, it has a store in practically every little town or city, and sometimes 2 or 3 stores. Unless they're 5 to 10 miles apart, they have one store, Walmart. Okay, that's the number of stores Walmart has in the country. Now, it's so many stores, like just people who are working on the floor and just very basic promotions. AI and virtual reality is used for assessing their job performance. Yeah. So on the job, employee surveyors often uses data to partially determine retention, salaries, and promotion. So it's talking to customers, employee interaction. However they may do it. They are not disclosed how they're doing, but those are typically the key plan. There is AI and virtual reality, and there are cameras everywhere in the store. So they can try everything. So a study, again, I give you a reference, found error rates almost twice as high for African American speakers versus white speakers. Okay, so 35% versus 19%. Implementation of AI and ER technologies may overlook the limitations of speech recognition, which work best for white, highly educated, upper middle class Americans. So even among Americans, there is a difference in accent but even if everybody speaks English, their accent is different. Okay? So then the accent for one group of speakers wasn't well recognized. The speech recognition technology failed as compared to the others. So if it doesn't understand what it's saying or it doesn't, then it's going to rate it lower. And that's exactly what happened. And this is again a real study. And this is like, these are recent studies, right? 2020, 2021. These are not like some of our years. Okay? And they are being used. CR and ER is being used for making decisions about retention, salary, promotion, stuff like that. You want AI protects itself, okay? You may have probably heard about it that AI is going to make sure who is going to take over the world. How is it going to take over the world? Like it is sure that humans are not a threat to itself, right? So here's some humor about that. The AI bot says you need to fire you now before you become irreplaceable. So human becoming irreplaceable, the AI bot is afraid. It's not. So, it's just humor, remember, right? But every humor has some truth to it, I always say. Okay. Fairness in AI financial services. Okay. US government created automated underwriting systems, thereby AUS, used to fire banks, insurance agencies, they all use the automated underwriting. Underwriting, you may have to emerge in insurance. It's up into an underwriter. Goal of the AI-powered automated decision-making system was to put in place a robust data taxonomy by removing variables like gender, race, and education that had potential for introducing human prejudice in the loan review process. So the loan review process, we need to make sure we are not, being biased on factors that don't matter, gender, race, education. Other variables, contrasting variables like address were used in place of demographics. Okay, I think I gave you an example on the very first day of our course. Okay, so banks regulated by the government, okay, embrace the AUS under that automated underwriting system to improve fairness in credit worthiness assessment and loan approval process. Now I have a reference for this. Okay, so example. Goal of the US government created AUS was to ensure fairness in the fine. So government had a great goal. I mean, it was a worthy goal. The goal was to introduce fairness in the system. Okay, what happened? I got the references right there. AI algorithm intersected several acceptable variables such as address to implicitly predict the quality of the place of residence. I use that information to differentiate among customers. I think I mentioned to you about neighborhoods, right? Oh, this iris, this neighborhood, wacky neighborhood. This iris and this neighborhood, not so very. Right? And then, so 10 wealthy neighborhoods probably have wealthy connections, parents, whoever that it is, friends, who can bail them out. So, okay, if the loan, because, they seem to be able to pay it off, they can afford to live there. Okay, so AI-based financial systems and processes have raised enduring concerns that are being addressed. So, the government is aware of that, the US government, and is definitely working towards making the system fair. Like I said, the whole goal was to introduce fairness. Sometimes, things don't turn out the way we want it to turn out. So discrimination results from the interaction or triangulation is the perception of several variables which do not in themselves appear to be discriminated. How is it discriminated to ask for the address of a person? Where do you live? How is it discriminatory to ask a person's name? Correct? There is no discrimination in that, but that itself, if you try to look more into where interpret it as a proxy variable for something else, then it can lead to discrimination. So let's look at criminal justice system. Okay, COMPASS is correctional offender management profiling for alternative sections. This is an actual algorithm, private. Okay, nothing public about it. And here are the references for it. It's basically used by judges to make decisions in the courts. A criminal comes, they can make a decision on how much, how much the bail should be, whether they should be set free, whether they should be put in jail, etc., whatever decisions need to be made. And recidivism is what's the probability that the person will redo the crime. Okay, so criminals who re-offend for sentence. So across the US, judges use the AI-based COMPASS algorithm to assess a criminal's defendant's likelihood of becoming a recidivist, which is criminals who re-offend are there for sentencing as well. So it predicted twice as many false positives for recidivism for black offenders and white offenders. So if you're black, you're more likely to be offended. If you're white, you're less likely to be offended. That's what the algorithm was doing. And so that was something, and these are the references for it. Because COMPASS utilizes a proprietary model, that's where proprietary comes into play. Remember I said it's not public, it's proprietary. That cannot be inspected. Independent researchers do not have access to the data upon which the algorithm is based, and cannot independently validate the algorithmic process by which predictive scores are calculated. So they don't know what factors are being used, what their rates are, nothing. Okay, and therefore it's a problem because independent researchers cannot assess or evaluate. It's a proprietary algorithm. Thus, it is impossible to determine precisely how predictions are generated, but they are biased decisions. So let's look at transparency. Now we talked about fairness. Transparency in AI. What does it mean? Basically, input, output, black box in between, right? So input is converted into output. That's why the algorithm is doing the work. So AI systems or ML algorithms are often referred to as black box. And AI algorithms are guarded by companies because they see those are IP, intellectual property. Examples, Google search algorithm. I mean, we know why is Google so popular? Because you put it in Yahoo, you put it in Bing, you get different results. Many people prefer Google search results as compared to something else, right? That's why Google search is so popular. Well, their search algorithm itself is an IP. So they are not going to release how they came up with that algorithm or how they are constantly updating that algorithm. Remember, I talked about retraining the algorithm all the time. Okay, without that, there is going to be a data drift and they are going to fall behind. So it's important that they keep up the algorithm. That is their IP. But that is so their algorithm is not at all transparent. Correct? No transparency there. So we don't know how they came up with it. Deciding how much transparency to provide about a proprietary algorithmic system is a critical consideration. Or if that proprietary algorithm has applications in society, like the way us did in criminal justice system, then it is a matter of concern for the citizens, right? Because then how does it impact me is the question. Correct? I see on this only because tomorrow India would have all these algorithms. And so you, as the youth, have to be aware of, hey, what can I do to make the system a better place for everybody? To innovate responsibly, companies must enhance their caring for the impact of the AI tools on society, and that's where transparency becomes important. So companies have themselves to make sure that they care about the impact of those AI tools on society. Correct? They have to want to make it fair and put in the efforts to do it. Why is transparency important in AI system? Building trust. When users understand how the system works, they feel more comfortable and confident in using it. Somebody tells you, just do it this way. You say, okay, but why? Where is the evidence that this will work, right? You have a lot of questions. But if somebody explains to you, oh, you're filling out this form for this, you will say, oh, okay, I get it. I'm willing to fill it out. Correct? So it's like basically knowing the system makes us feel more comfortable and confident. Ensuring clarity, being clear about the data used to train AI systems along with the algorithms and models provides a reasoning behind the AI decision in a way that is understandable to human. So this is mainly for researchers. If researchers know what data was used and why was it used the way it was used, then they can have a quick for that or at least search online and say, oh, there's a better way to do it. But if they are unaware of how it was done because it's a proprietary system, then, there can be nothing, no transparency would have detrimental effect. Facilitating responsible development, that's called responsible development. Okay? When companies or when developers need to be transparent with AI design, they are obligated to consider the ethical and implications of their AI systems and design AI systems to minimize harm. But that is responsible development. I remember that, of course, we just talked about it being their IP or their intellectual property. So there's always a trade-off between how much I want to disclose and how much I should not disclose. So even when you go to work for companies like businesses, you sign a non-disclosure agreement, NDA, right? Where you say that I will not disclose the type of work that I'm doing, the type of clients I have, whatever that may be. Every company has its own, format or its own requirements for the NDA. So you are just at license to share what you do with FDMI. Explainability. What is explainability in the AI? Understanding and verifying the output decision. Provide reasons for the why an AI system made a specific decision. Identifies errors or biases in the system, making it easier to debug and improve its performance. So explain the algorithm. Okay, you're not able to give us the how the algorithm was designed, what data set was used. That's fine. Explain to the public or explain to the researchers, like it public knowledge, why, like understanding and verifying the output decision, why that decision was made and how was it made. We create legitimacy. Explainability will create legitimacy around AI. Why? Prediction accuracy, logs. Remember, we talked about the prediction accuracy. Okay, minimizing the difference between accurate predictions and inaccurate predictions. Traceability. Creators or the AI system should explain the design of the algorithm, provide the rationale for the variables and their weights, be able to explain why the algorithm is making a particular prediction or automated decision. Then this approach would work. Okay, so basically, explainability is explain something about the algorithm where you cannot release the uh, algorithm workings or the scientific basis, how it was designed. If you cannot release that, at least explain how it worked. In accountability, we are going to talk about recent legislation, or they can talk about that in a different lecture, where U.S. Many states are making legislation to tell companies what they need to disclose for the particular AI outcomes. Okay, so we will talk about that today. So accountability AI, what is AI accountability? The idea that AI should be developed, deployed, and utilized such that responsibility for bad outcomes can be assigned to liable parties. So basically, you make a bad decision, you have to pay for it. You are a company, you are making profit of that. Compass, a company that designed Compass, is making a lot of profit because almost every port is using their system. Correct? So with that, then there is accountability. If the results are not accurate, you have to pay. Is what the accountability is. And how do you make businesses accountable? I mean, they pay for their mistakes. Correct? Somebody gives you a bad sandwich at McDonald's, then they would have to adjust for that in some way. All right. So if the AI decision making is unclear, assigning responsibility and holding parties responsible for harmful outputs, harmful becomes difficult. If there is no legislation around that, if there is no legislation that makes them responsible for it, then they are not going to do it. Government has a responsibility to ensure that AI applications are fair across all segments of the society. So let's talk also some algorithmic flaws. Find the lack in fairness in AI. Use of historical data that has insufficient representation of subgroups. We talk a little bit about that. Also, we talk about sampling bias that existed when data was selected. Algorithms are designed to increase overall model accuracy. So the output trains to capture distinct patterns in subpopulations. Subpopulations that pick up in a minority population. Why the lack of transparency? The proprietary design raises concern about choice of features and assign weights that may be inherently discriminatory to subgroups of the population. So anytime you do something, somebody is not going to like it, right? And that happens for across the board. No matter what, even the government, when it takes policy, there will be a small percentage of people that are not going to like what was done, even if it benefits majority, right? So then what is the trade-off? So algorithmic design feature selection is inaccessible and cannot be validated by independent researchers. So lack of transparency addresses that. Either lack of explainability, algorithms do not explain, just predict, and the basis for this prediction is often incomprehensible. Use of correctional, correlational patterns rather than casual causal narratives is in automated decisions. Remember, there is a difference between correlation and causal, correct? There is a correlation between, oh, there are a lot of malaria is usually, around either that's when it's very humid. But is humidity the cause for malaria? Or rains the cause for malaria? It could be because rains come and then there is more, whatever. So we always look at not just correlation but causal. Okay, so there is a difference between causal and correlation. Automated calculations based on inputs from humans with implicit misconceptions or preconceptions. And preconceptions, implicit preconceptions are even for us, which comes commonly among even for lecturers, is many of you are faculty or applying to be faculty. We all come with our implicit conceptions, meaning we ourselves don't know that we tend to have a positive outlook on certain people that look a certain way, behave a certain way, and you immediately feel more positive about those types of people than somebody else. And those are implicit. Those are just hidden. Those are not known to us. That is called implicit perceptions. Meaning we are not purposefully biased, but we are implicitly biased. Okay, we implicitly feel why do somebody like one type of food spicy, somebody else likes sweet? There is no reason for that, right? So we implicitly have our own conditions where we have a preference for certain things, certain ways of behaving, certain ways of looking at things, and that itself creates implicit bias. So we have to be aware that that's why they say bring a diverse group to make decisions. Why? Because each one will come with their own implicit biases or implicit conceptions and bring new ideas to the table. While the law of accountability, AI governments restrict access to sensitive personal data, including demographic variables, that AI systems are prohibiting other variables called lossy variables to study their brain. So accountability, why? Because you cannot use race, gender, you cannot collect data on that. You cannot say, oh, what is and are you, LGBTQ plus, you cannot ask that question. Use of proxies and lieu of sensitive demographics like age, gender, race, age. You cannot differentiate or discriminate with reference to age. So, okay, let's do the lack of and takeaways. Lack of fairness impacts skewed data set in discern unequal outcomes for different groups. And here are some examples. Underdiagnosis and misdiagnosis of certain patient groups underrepresented either data set, and I have a bunch of references for that. Amazon's hiring algorithm was biased against women because of the use of historical data of resumes submitted over 10 years that favored men over women. Facial recognition software display a higher false positive rate among Asian and Black, while Caucasians had lower positive. Is a reference for that. We talked about all these. These are just examples that I'm talking about. Compass for transparency. We already talked about that again with a bunch of references. Features extracted from college admissions essay. Used to predict student achievement demonstrate cultural discrimination in the algorithm. Okay, so what cultural background does the person have is going to determine whether they will succeed or not succeed in college. Okay, so limitations of speech recognition in job performance algorithms produce 45% error rate for African Americans versus 98% for white people. He already mentioned that. So I'm just giving you a bunch of examples from references, so it's not something you feel it is stories. These are not stories, these are facts. Lack of explainability Automated dropout predictions are based on an algorithm that detects a correlation between student demographics and college care using a data set that reflects historic patterns of prejudice and discrimination. Okay? Automated dropout predictions is, it generates, this person is likely to drop out of college. Okay, that's what dropout gate is. Meaning not complete all 4 years of college. Predictive policing and risk assessments used in criminal sentencing are based on police inputs whose objectivity has been questioned. Even police may not be objective enough, like they come with their own preconceptions. If the person is this way, most likely that person is going to do this. That kind of preconception that the police can come up with. Okay? So predictive policing and risk assessment. Credit scores correlate with credit worthiness with the type of credit disproportionately used by borrowers of color. Okay, so racial discrimination, lack of accountability, algorithm used on over 200 million people in US hospitals falsely concluded that black patients, 200 million, okay, so not a small number. The black patients have less health needs because less money was spent out there compared to white patients. So less money spent, so you have less need for health related, But it could be the person could not afford, and therefore less money was spent. The person just didn't go to the hospital, and so those cases were lost. So there was zero money spent on some of those cases, right? So it depends on how we actually calculate that. Black mortgage applicants were twice as likely as white applicants to have their application denied by the AUS. AUS was an automated underwriting system used by banks due to the use of discriminatory proxy variables. UK's grading, this is an interesting case study. I'll tell you a little bit about it. UK's grading algorithm assigned lower rates for high performing students and higher performing students. What happened was, during Corona, they were taking test grades like, SAT, ACT, whatever we have, NCAT or something like that here or whatever, those testing, everything. So they had the test, and what they did was, when they were grading, they found that this is only because some of the students complained. So the students that were weak students at a good school, okay, if you go to a good school, automatically they were rated higher, even if their essays weren't as good. But if you go to a weak school, not very good school, then your essays are rated lower only because you are at actually this school. The students are always never good. So even the top students rated low. Here, this is a very good school. So even their weakest student rated higher than the good top students here. So these top students at weaker school, they complained. They said, what is this? What kind of a rating did we get? And that's what brought that algorithm. And the algorithm was doing. Okay, it was with so many, million students, submitting their essays. The algorithm is grading their essays. So, it came from this school. Automatically, the bar is like you cannot go below this level to give a grade for that school. For lower school, no, don't give a grade above this point. You understand what I'm saying? That is how the algorithm thought because of the database that was put in. That traditionally these schools performed lower, these schools performed higher. So so then there was a big lawsuit actually. Then this came into to match what has happened. Okay, and as a Turing, and many of you may have known Turing, the Turing award. A computer would be called intelligent if it could deceive a human into believing that it was stupid. So You might think, oh, I'm communicating with the human being. You're actually John or Mary or whoever, but actually it's a chatbot. It actually responds exactly to what you want and stuff like that or whatever. Then, so that's when you can call the computer intelligence. That's his scope. Okay, thank you, everybody.
I sincerely thank Professor Anapokte for her insightful lecture and for sharing valuable perspectives on algorithmic assessment and design strategies. We will now break for lunch. Please rejoin us at 1:30 p.m. for the afternoon session with Professor Yuval Mapan. Thank you.